Our government's job is to take your money, to tax the peasants and give it to the kings and the queens, the lords and the ladies. And the government of the United States of America is doing just that. Things are going great for the U.S. The federal government collected a record $318 billion, $576 million in taxes in October. This is the highest tax amount ever recorded. The Treasury set the previous record for October tax collections last year when it brought in $305 billion, $918,360,000 in that year, in that month's taxes. This year's record October tax receipt of $318,576,000,000 was up $12 billion. So while these fake politicians sit up on their pedestals and tell you that they care about you, that they are laser focused on inflation, that they want to do right for the American people, and while they blame corporations for keeping prices higher, oil companies for making things worse, they are the ones who are sitting here taking your money. Do you see any of them offering that money back to you, saying, you know what, let's just not take taxes this month because the people really need a break? No, they're never going to say that because they don't care about you. They care about your vote to a very small degree, and the rest of you, they don't care about one bit. Speaking of not caring about their citizens, this is what we can expect to see happen in the USA soon. It's already happening in Russia. Russia is introducing the return of Soviet-era military training for teens. Teachers are undergoing training, which is expected to be completed within the next 60 days, a program that is being launched all across the country. Russia announced that it will now be compulsory. That means mandatory. These routine training and military exercises are the same that they were in the Soviet era. They are being brought to Russia's high school curriculums starting in 60 days. This is according to Russia's education minister, Kravtsov, who says that this is necessary to get Russia ready. It will be introduced in schools starting from the next academic year, he says. Now it is being drafted, and after January 1st, it will begin. It will be introduced starting in 60 days. Teachers will start undergoing training. Their training will be completed soon. Teachers say that Russia's school curriculum is already overloaded, but now younger students are required to attend weekly patriotic classes called Important Conversations, and now they're going to get them ready physically to fight in war. Don't expect, remember, we kind of waned on this period in the USA where you used to have to stand up. You held your hand over your heart. You pledged your allegiance to the country. And then this waned as we gave way to a softer community and a softer society, one that didn't have any of these hardline rules. You see, the thing is, though, that only lasts for so long until one of the bullies stands up, and you can either be a bully or you can be bullied. And so it's only a matter of time until your children will be standing once again in America, pledging their allegiance to a flag, giving thanks for taking our taxes. Moving forward, apparently there has been a series of events in China and Taiwan lately, confrontations between the militaries concerning naval vessels in the water surrounding the island chain. In a recording that we have heard, an officer allegedly on the Chinese destroyer, the Xiamen, can be heard denying the existence of Taiwan and its border region, its continuous zone, during a radio exchange. In the recording, a man's voice can be heard identifying his vessel as the Macong, a warning that another ship was approaching the outer edge of Taiwan's zone 44 kilometers from its baseline. The other man's voice replies, "This is my ship to the Macong. This so-called 24 nautical mile baseline does not exist. Check your terminology. Our ship has the right to sail here," it says. "Maintain a safe distance of at least 3 nautical miles." This is Macong in reply. "We are currently sailing on a course of 230 degrees. Adjust your course as appropriate." Analysts say that this is just a series of events that we expect to take place as China disregards all of Taiwan as being independent in any way. There's an expectation that Chinese naval vessels have been given the directive to test the waters. The Navy has even been given the directive to test their ability to push forward. You see, if you push forward, and then if Taiwan fires, China has all the right, it believes, in the world to go in and take, China has the right to take Taiwan. So we have to get ready for that to happen. Meanwhile, an analyst in the Institute for National Defense and Security Research tells reporting outlets that the People's Liberation Army incursions need to be readily publicly available. Just like people in Japan, they say, it would not be likely that Taiwan's people will panic over such alerts. They will develop a sense of crisis that will increase their mental toughness.
Did you just do that?
When customers think you won't follow these
Yeah. Oh. But still, I got it.
Security
That's right.
research tells reporting outlets that the People's Liberation Army incursions need to be readily publicly available. Just like people in Japan, they say, it will not be likely that Taiwan's people will panic over such alerts. They will develop a sense of crisis that will increase their mental toughness and make them resilient. Russian defense ministers have asked local arms manufacturers to double their production of hypersonic missiles in readiness to fire these missiles at European countries and possibly the USA. Reports are coming in with warnings from the U.S. intelligence agencies saying that Gulf allies, United Arab Emirates, continue to exert political pressure in the USA. According to the data, U.S. intelligence officials have compiled a classified report. This report detailed extensive efforts by the UAE to manipulate American politics. The activities being reported include legal and illegal attempts to steer U.S. foreign policy, UAE bids spanning multiple administrations to exploit vulnerabilities, exploit susceptibility to powerful lobbying. The U.S. intelligence community generally stays clear of anything that could be interpreted as studying American domestic politics, says Bruce Rydell, a senior fellow at the Brookings Institute. We all know what they're about. Doing something like this on a friendly power is also unique. It's a sign that the U.S. intelligence community is willing to take on new challenges, he says. But let me tell you what it's actually a sign of. Everything's fair and fun when everybody has a lot of money, everybody's fed well, nobody's fighting, everybody seems to get along. Even one-time enemies, neighbors that hate each other, just look, they give a little wave, a little nod, they grumble a little underneath their breath. They don't fight openly. But now times are changing. They have run this Ponzi scheme. Do you think FTX was a scheme, a scam? FTX was nothing compared to banking and government spending. Nothing compared to the military-industrial complex that uses the real lives of your children to fight banking wars. FTX was just a joke. Different politicians set up these young, punk, dumb-looking kids in positions of power to funnel money. That's all it was. The second largest political donor behind George Soros was this young, frizzy, permy-haired kid that you're expected to believe was building an empire. Even when they used Zuckerberg, they at least used somebody who had some programming intelligence and who could actually disseminate information in a way that you said, okay, maybe this joker that they've placed into a position to gather your personal data, to have you tell the government exactly what you were eating for dinner, doing at nighttime, who you were hanging out with, who your friend circles were, logging your data, logging your geo, doing all of these things, the biggest intelligence operation in history for you to willingly give up your position, your thoughts, your ideologies, your political affiliations, your hate, your love, everything. You've basically given it all to the government. But at least when they used Zuckerberg, they used a pawn who appeared to be intelligent enough to run this scheme. Instead, with FTX, they've got this joke kid who's sitting here with his fuzzy hair, and he's sitting here telling everybody how he just wants to help the world and free the world, while he is to political powers in the USA and abroad. And now they're all shocked and awed that this happened. No, they have allowed this to happen in one of the biggest money laundering schemes in history. It's being called the largest in history. But if you think that's a fraud, think about what US politics is like. Remember, the US government just took a record number of your taxes while saying that they are here to help you, while saying that they want to help inflation go down. Do you see them saying, you know what? Our taxes, let's just give some back to the American. Absolutely not. They are not here for you. They're not here for your friends. They're here for themselves. Last year, the UAE and those affiliated with it admitted in court to providing sophisticated hacking technology to the country, agreeing to surrender security clearances. The Post revealed last month that the UAE's extensive courtship of retired high-ranking U.S. military personnel was in existence. The investigation showed that over the past couple of years, 280 retired U.S. service members have worked as military contractors for the UAE. While the U.S. does not have disclosure rules in place per se, there are a number of loopholes that allow individuals to work behalf on foreign and even enemy countries in this country without disclosing their work. Now moving on to South Korea, the president of that country says that if Pyongyang conducts a new missile or nuclear test, the international community, backed by the USA, must respond. The government in Canada must take urgent action to address the distress signals that are coming out of hospitals, especially children's hospitals. The Hospital for Sick Children says that it will be placing surgical procedures on hold to preserve critical care capacity. There's sick kids all across the USA. There's sick kids all across, there's schools closing in the USA. Sick kids across Europe, sick kids across Canada. There's new studies that came out to say that for the first time ever, they have seen RSV and influenza mutate into a single virus inside of a body. For the first time ever, they're saying that kids who have been mostly immune to RSV since getting it in childhood are becoming so sick and so hospitalized, bedridden that they have to be hospitalized, have to be given oxygen, have to be given fluids. I know personally because it came through my house. My 16-year-old son got pneumonia from it. A normal, healthy individual. My youngest son, fatigued for days and days. They ran 21 days of fevers. They have done something, and now they're paying. We are all paying for their playing God. In a statement released late Friday, the hospital said that its intensive care unit census has been placed at least 127% above capacity. We're seeing reports of mom and dads taking to social media in Canada saying that their children are being basically told that they can't come into the hospital, even if they need oxygen, even if they need care. Why? Because they're triaging children based on likelihood of survival. And they do these things based on predetermined categories, criteria. So let's just say, for instance, you have two kids. One of them has asthma and one
Willie,
doesn't.
get in here.
That's who they'll treat. The one who doesn't, because he is more likely to survive given their treatment. At the end of the day, healthcare is a very brutal, a very raw care system. It's not based on compassion. It's based on money. And so we have allowed corruption of the mind, corruption of the physical body, and corruption of this system to take place all across North America. The hospital says that as of November 14th, it will be prioritizing urgent, emergent, and most time-sensitive surgeries. It's unclear how many procedures will be impacted. This decision, they say, was not taken lightly. The reduction in surgical activity will allow us to support areas of the hospitals that are needed to help managing increasing patient volume. I would like to express, says Ronald Kahn, the president and CEO, my deep gratitude to everyone who is going above and beyond, doing the best that they can for patients, families, and each other. It's being said also that hospitals across the North American spectrum are being unable to accept new patients. We're seeing doctors come onto local media saying that there's a shortage of Tylenol, shortage of ibuprofen, shortage of azithromycin, shortage of amoxicillin. These are broad spectrum antibiotics that are first line of defense when a kid, they get a cold, right? Let's say they get flu, they get influenza. Their immune system gets knocked down. Bacteria that we normally fight off every day gets lodged in your sinuses, goes into your throat, goes into your lungs, becomes bacterial pneumonia, becomes strep, becomes sinus infection. Each one of these things can have decades-long implications. For years, decades, we have just knocked them out with antibiotics. Now we don't have those. So what do? Well, the first thing you do is try not to get ill. The second thing you do is know what you can do if you start to experience these sorts of or types of illnesses. Gargling with salt water will help. Is it the end-all be-all? No. Taking in raw garlic will help. Is it the end-all be-all? No. But is it better than doing nothing? Yes. Turmeric and honey, end-all be-all? No. But does it help? Yes. There are lots of plant and plant-derived ingredients that will help you get over these illnesses. At the end of the day, like I said, care is raw. It is ruthless. Same goes with your own body. Your body either can fight it or it can't. So do everything. Massive amounts of vitamin C. I'm not a doctor. I'm just telling you what I would do to my family, what I would do to myself. Massive amounts of vitamin C. Massive amounts of exposure to UV. Vitamin D. Large amounts of zinc. Of course, within acceptable limits. Me, I'm popping and snorting emergency packets containing vitamin C and other minerals and nutrients like a fiend. Why? Not literally snorting. I know there's going to be like 6 people in this video who are like, Brad, you shouldn't snort those. Of course not. But I do swirl it around in a cup and bring my nose real close and get some of those vapors up there because why not? Vitamin C straight up the nasal cavity. You have to take your elderberry, echinacea. Do each one of these things because if you're not, Hugel's cat does a great video on that. If you're not doing these things for your body, it can't get over it. And when you don't have access to amoxicillin, azithromycin, each one of those things, you'll go to the end of your body's capabilities and then your body deteriorates. It doesn't happen everybody. Your body will either fight it or it won't. What we hate to see is kids who are suffering because of the corruption of the body, the mind, and the system that we have allowed to take place. J.P. Morgan, the CEO, says that conditions for a downturning economic storm have fallen into place. The French Foreign Ministry says that Iran has chosen the wrong path and will be held accountable by the international community for its actions. The Foreign Ministry says that the arrest of French citizens in Iran is a provocative act towards war. Several fatalities are being reported after a massive blast took place. We saw video of this in Istanbul. Things are getting rocky everywhere. You think the people of Istanbul like Turkey's 80% inflation? No. You see, when you mess around with people's ability to thrive, to survive, you can close them down and you can tell them to live in a cage and you can tell them that they only get a couple of hours of electricity and you can tell them all these things, basically telling the slaves that they're slaves. And people, as long as they have food on their table, alcohol to put in their bodies, and a sports show to watch, of course, the bread and circus routine is different for every culture, then they're going to comply. Because the government wants nothing more than your taxes and your compliance, they have to walk this thin line of taking as much of your soul and your body and your blood and your time as they can, while giving you a little bit to do your own. That's where Turkey is messing up right now. There's no survival, no thriving. It's basically every person for themselves, and now they're suffering an urban revolution. Several fatalities are reported there. More volatility is on its way in economics this week. PPI inflation data reported on Tuesday. U.S. retail sales data will be reported on Wednesday. Home sales data will be reported on Federal Reserve members will be speaking. Retail reports are going to show what's happening in that area. The U.S. Secretary of the Treasury says that if Russia cuts off oil exports, the U.S. could draw down from its strategic petroleum reserves. Does she not know that we've already been doing that and we've already depleted it to below 1970s levels? Maybe she isn't understanding of that because all she has done is swim in her golden coins or doubloons and swam on your riches. It's now becoming clear, according to economists, the FTX story is larger than the Madoff story. The recovery rate will be much slower. This is the largest fraud in history. Data scientists are showing how much time we spend with other people and with our family. Once born, we spend a majority of our life with our family. But after year 4, that drops off dramatically because from that point forward, kids are going to school. They're doing homework when they get home. They're doing after-school activities. They get a job as soon as they're old enough to. Parents are working. Kids are having kids of their own, spending more time alone and less time with their partners and their families and more time with coworkers. The charts and the data show how much time we spend with the ones that we love versus how many hours per day we spend at work or away from the ones that we love. And let me tell you, the data is depressing. Spend as much time with your kids and your family as you can. And our time to is literally running out. I want you to help me make sense of this in the comments. How is this not part of a bigger agenda? Actually cutting down, continuing to cut down forests that take decades to grow, sometimes centuries to grow, to put in profit returning wind power mills. Looking at this single data set, Scotland, the site of the recent nation's 26th conference of the parties, COP26, the climate summit, you saw 450 private jets fly in from leaders around our world, flying their private jets in to tell you what we need to do about climate change. Even though data has come out, ambulance just went by, even though data is coming out right now showing that it's the largest 5% in the world who create more climate problems than the other 95%. So they flew their 450 private jets in to tell you how you need to lay off the gas pedal. So at the COP26 meeting, Scotland, the data shows, has cut down 14 million trees to make room for new wind power installations. This is a quote. The Scottish government has moved to reassure the public that more trees have been planted. A conservation charity believes that wind farms are key to reducing carbon levels. No, trees are. A spokesperson for the Forestry and Land Scotland says that renewable energy and forests must work in symbiosis. The state of the emergency inside of Canada is continuing. The ER crisis. One urgent care doctor says he has worked urgent care for 39 years, and his department has never been closer to collapse. Consumer sentiment has soured again in November. It hit its lowest levels since July. Americans say that things are getting worse for them. The University of Michigan's gauge on U.S. consumers' sentiment and outlooks has fallen again. Declines in sentiment have been observed across the distribution of age, education, income, geography, and political affiliation. It shows that recent improvements in sentiment were slow-lived, and they have burnt out. So here's what we have happening in used car prices. Book values are not keeping up. A 2020 Tesla Model 3 at auction, book value, or what is owed and what it should be valued at, is $50,400. Its market value, what will be paid for it, is $41,600, a $9,000 difference. That bubble is popping. I have time for a quick viewer question. Nick Confront says, question, I've ordered my mini wood stove as a backup. Prices going up daily on these. Makes me nervous. Thinking of getting a camping stove too for cooking outside. I do have a propane tank for the grill, but I feel like it won't last long. You're right. Does anyone think this is a good idea? I'm seeing some of these that are on sale. Also, is Alexa Pure just as good as a Berkey? Thanks. I've only used Berkey, so I'm not sure, but I have seen data reports that suggest they are just as good. Do propane tanks run out quick? Absolutely. Getting a wood stove. Great point. Actually, I have a friend, commenter on the channel here, and actually a moderator here on the channel. Jordan said that he is getting a wood stove right now for his family. Everybody knows what time it is. We're screwed. They're screwing us on purpose. They're taking record taxes while saying we're here for you, laser guided on inflation, laser focused on making things more affordable for you, taking record amounts of your money, reaching into your pocketbook and taking money. We're going to take less than ever. We're here for you. And they just keep going and grabbing, knowing that you're spending more time at work having to get 2 jobs just to make ends meet, while they fly their jets around to talk about how you should lay off the gas pedal. While they cut down trees, wielding and returning wind. If anyone is ruining the planet, it is them. Guys, I want you to take special care over the next couple of weeks and months as people go into Thanksgiving. And in fact, they're putting out news reports how people should just order pizza for Thanksgiving because you can't afford a turkey. So as people go into Thanksgiving, which is a time of reflection, it's definitely not the time that they taught us in school, but it's a time of reflection. You think about what you have to give thanks for. And as we go into the holiday season and people see that they can't buy for their children what they expect to, don't get me wrong. I think the holidays are way over commercialized, but they have drilled this into the thoughts and the souls of the American people and the Western people for so long that we have built our happiness on commercialization, on consumerism. And so as that is ripped away because people can no longer afford to be a consumer, that's all they know how to be. They don't know how to be just a mom, a dad, a brother, a sister, how to make a nice card. I want you to think about what you can do right now for your family, what you can give them, because we see that time is important. Look at how much we spend with coworkers versus how much we spend with the ones that we love. Let's think about how we can give time to the people that we love. Give them maybe some survival, maybe some preparedness items. Go camping with them, go fishing, go hunting, grow your own food, work on their garden, play games around the table. Let's spend time with the ones that we love. The rest of the people are going to be depressed, they're going to be anxious, and they're going to be angry. They're going to act out. Let's make sure that they can't hurt anybody that we love. From my family to yours, please stay safe, remain vigilant, and keep watch. Don't forget to subscribe to us here at Full Spectrum Survival. It's the only place that we publish videos. Leave a thumbs up if you want to do one thing for me, and please leave 2 comments down below. One, just a comment that you thought about during this video, and then another comment, reply to someone else or a question with the word question first so that we can read it on the channel. Stay safe, everyone. Also, check out contingencymedical.com if you're looking for antibiotics. Remember, they're in short order, but they're still shipping out amoxicillin, azithromycin, and others in an insurance pack for you. I call it insurance because you're not supposed to use it right now. You're supposed to use it when the hospital says, I'm sorry, we can't see you. And then you have something at home to treat yourself. Use the code FSS10. You'll get $20 off of your order there. And nutrientsurvival.com for your long-term food storage needs. They have meals that are ready for you, but they have specifically went in and kept the nutrients inside of these meals. I keep saying it. It's like an MRE for the Army, but less like the prison food that our soldiers get. Stay safe, everyone. Make sure you use the code FSS10 if you want 10% off of your order there. Talk with friends and family. Spend time with the ones that you love. And keep watch.